listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show. Oh, no, it's not Alan Cochrane. Sorry.
What am I, chopped liver?
You can, yes, this is Frank Skinner.
What a start.
It's good to be back.
It's the worst ever start. With Emily Dean. And Steve Hall is with us.
Hello.
This
He's
morning.
in the house.
Hooray.
I'm going to have to be like... I feel I should be like sycophantic posse and sort of clap now because
thank
you didn't
you.
get the mention. But, you know, he was just on a roll. When the genius is on a roll, you have to just let him go with it. And
I
think,
love genius on a roll.
Yeah.
Especially with a dill pickle. Anyway, you can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. It's the worst opening to the show there's ever been in 9 years.
You haven't heard it when I've presented it.
Well, welcome. Of course I listened to it. I'm like, it was like when Hank presented the Larry Sanders Show and he sits at home, haunted. So, hello, Steve.
Hello, lovely to be back.
Welcome back.
It's been a year.
Has it been a year? Goodness
I
me.
love having you here, and I'm saying that in spite of the fact that you're wearing a short-sleeve shirt. So there you go, coach
Goodness
driver
me.
sleeves in the house.
Has he got
I didn't
pens
need-
in the pocket?
He's got a coach driver sleeve. He's checking on all the seats as he goes down.
I like coming here because I always learn that I'm wearing the wrong thing. I can think I'm looking okay and then discover I'm
one of
I'm
my
not saying I don't
favourite
like it.
One of my favourite TV adverts at the moment is, and I profoundly disagree with online betting, but there's an online betting ad with a coach driver. And everyone's at the football ground and he's looking at, and he's won, he's picked the right score or whatever, and the actor, whoever he is, who probably thought he'd be playing Sir John Falstaff by now, but he's playing this coach driver with no lines, he just does a little look and a nod that he's won, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's
That's-
absolutely.
that's
he
an
is a
actor-
great actor.
Yeah,
that guy.
that's Rob Tofield, I think. He was from
Do you know who he is? You are having a laugh.
He's from a very lovely comedy duo called Colin and Rob. They went on a long journey for their name.
Do you know people in ads and things? This is an
That's
extraordinary
great
skill.
that you've identified the obese coach driver. I say
Particularly now
obese.
you've called him obese.
Well, he's playing obese. I'm not saying he is.
Well, when you say playing, I mean, does he look like he's had padding or...
No, it looks like
Okay.
he's had planning.
Someone who knows him now might sort of say, "Oh, listen to the Frank Skinner podcast. You get a lovely mention, but then it's stop listening as soon as your name. Turn your radio off straight away."
No. Listen, because I think it's important to make this point.
Yeah, go on.
I went to see Dunkirk this week.
Oh, did you like it?
I thought it was fantastic. However,
No review.
my big in brackets about that is why every young soldier who was in it was absolutely beautiful. They looked like someone had gone into a catwalk modelling thing for Joseph and said, "Look, guys, I'm sorry, but we're calling you up. You've got to go to Dunkirk." And they were all... Harry Styles is one of the soldiers.
Well, I know H. Styles.
Harry Styles doesn't stand out as being
Really?
good looking. They're all good looking.
Daisy, should we get some tickets for this one?
No, but it's all right when they say it.
That's our Chippendales night out, Frank, at my age.
But where is the ugly people lobby? No, but why
Awkward
are
silence.
that? You know, when there's something, and say there isn't black people in it, or is there enough women in it, or there isn't enough people with working class accents. Those
Right.
people stand up and say, "Hold on a minute, where are the ugly people?"
Yeah.
Saying, "Hold on, are you saying everyone in Dunkirk?"
Where
Dunkirk needs
are
to
the
check
threes, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because the 9s and the 10s are getting an awful lot of airtime these days. And actually, why the teeth are too good, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
They have
teeth are
terrible
great.
teeth.
But I accept that.
It needs to
Okay.
check its perfect cheekbones privilege.
I used to work as a medieval teeth double in films, so I've taken advantage of the perfect teeth. But honestly, it's a brilliant film. But come on,
It's a very good... It's a staggeringly good film, and it's now forever
Is it?
ruined. No,
Well, also, I can't go to
I
that.
wish
That
your
bloke
mate was in it from Rob and Dick. whatever it's called.
Colin and Rob.
Colin and Rob. He would have been brilliant. You're telling me there were no big-boned people at Dunkirk? Well, you can imagine the little boats arriving and say, do you mind waiting for the next one, mate? We'll have...
And what about K-Bran? He's in it. Has he aged well?
Oh, he looks great, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
does he? Okay.
One thing he's got is his upper lip.
Oh, it's like that.
I don't think it was ever stiffer than it is,
Yeah.
than it is in this film. He's so British officer. It's fantastic.
Okay.
I think one of the fighter pilots plays Morrissey in the new Morrissey film as well. So it's
right?
the
I
one
wish
who
you
isn't
knew
Tom
more
Hardy.
information, Steve.
You do know. And which comedy double act is he in?
Yeah.
He's too beautiful to be a comedian.
Sid Little plays Himmler. in it. Actually, I think you could get away with that. Change your glasses. Who do you think should play Himmler from popular comedy? 8, 12, 15.
This is Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
I ate an unaccompanied asterisk.
Oh, I know. He always
I remember I was in Gaul once. No, but you know when you see an asterisk, you look to the bottom of the page for an explanation.
Who
There's
was
nothing.
his fat mate, Asterix?
Obelix.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
he was that bloke from Colin and...
I know this is. I know this is a late piece of advice for him, but if you're carrying that kind of weight, don't wear blue and white striped trousers.
No.
I mean, I appreciate he's not only a cartoon character, probably no longer with us, even in cartoon terms. It was so long ago, but the clothes, and he had a bare top,
No, blue and white stripes.
torso, and a blue and white striped trouser. Whose wears that if
maybe,
you're
maybe
overweight?
he'll come back, he's lost all the weight and he's now waiting for a skin transplant and it's just a grotesque cartoon to look at.
Plats.
Yeah,
Sort your
but when
style out,
they make the
mate.
live action version of it, your mate will walk straight into that part. I'm going to cast, next thing I do, I'm going to cast him in it. I can tell from that second in the advert that he's a really good actor. And I'll tell you
What,
what,
as
I think he could play a really moving drama type part as well, but he won't get the part. He'll go to some model who's rubbish.
Well, exactly. And in fact,
damn it!
I was just having a bit of a moan off air, listeners/readers.
Moana, that's what we call it.
Because I remembered the day, my parents' day, when these people went into acting. They had snaggle tooths, they had bruises, they had, not the best figures, some of these people.
William Hartnell's teeth, they're unbelievable. They're unbelievable.
There's a whole fan site dedicated to them.
There should be.
But when did it suddenly become, as you say, that the prerequisite was being, Stone Cold Fox?
But those people have always got work, but, not everyone at Dunkirk. That's just not fair.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I'll tell you the other thing as well. Now, I want to work out whether this is me getting older or
Yes.
whether it is a trend.
Yeah.
But to me, I would say maybe 65% of the dialogue in Dunkirk. If you go around, it's like that.
Oh.
I missed most of it. It's all right because not much dialogue in it, and if there's an aeroplane coming and somebody says something and they run away, I know it's the
It's the
equivalent
natural-
of
it's the new-
look out,
The
Steve.
script was written by Norman Collier.
Oh, was it?
It's the new naturalism, though.
Yes, so I've heard.
They love this new naturalism. I like brief encounter. You were in love with her, weren't you? I like everything enunciated.
When the cakes get knocked out,
Yeah.
almost, oh, look at me Banbury's.
That's what we like.
Yes, I do. I don't. If I was on here on a Saturday morning saying, "Okay, morning," and people would turn it off. But I was
We could
speaking
do
to
that.
someone who directed something and said to the actor, "Sorry, I couldn't quite tell what you were saying then." This is a true story. And the
Right.
actor said, "Oh, no, that's my style of acting."
It could work.
Oh.
Peter Beardsley and Kenny Dalglish having their own radio show.
Well, I was at an IMAX. It's not like it was, it was
Yeah.
mega loud stuff. Let's get ready to mumble.
I love it.
That's what they should say over the
Psych.
when you enter the door of RADA. They should say that. It really, honestly, drove me crazy. I got some thoughts on acting. I want to run by you, actually.
Oh, I look forward to these.
Oh, you've acted, Steve. Have you acted?
I have acted a tiny bit.
What have you been in?
What have you been?
I've been in the sitcom We Are Clang.
Oh, yeah.
My own sitcom. And
That's good.
pretty much
Oh, yeah.
never acted again after that.
Well, I was in quite a few things.
Oh,
really.
you were in a
Too
lot of
numerous
things.
to mention. I was a child actress, Steve. I don't know if you
I
know.
know. Well, you were in SOS Titanic.
Oh,
I think that, yeah.
Actually, I think we had a we should talk about that.
Yeah.
Had a communique.
We had a communique, SOS Titan.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, I could list them, but, come on.
Well,
people have got
Day of the
things to do.
Triffids, obviously.
Yeah, Nanny, The Professionals.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, then I'm in good company for this discussion. I look forward to it.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a couple of suggestions for who could play Himmler. I'd be glad to see.
Yeah.
803 says Stephen Merchant. 317 Henning Venn.
Well, that's Route 1, isn't it? Stephen Merchant's a good call.
I think it's a very good shout.
I think he'd be great.
Yeah.
He's a bit too benign, though.
Well, I think that...
And shines through his lovely
that
face.
with Himmler is that...
No one finds that with him.
I know, but he looks like he might be, and then he's
I see
disgusting.
what you mean, yeah.
Disgusting. The Nazi's one of the few people you can talk about like that on air. There's no one saying, that's
Zero.
It's not like when I was body-shaming Obelix, which I've done this morning. I feel really
099
bad.
suggests that Simon Pegg could play Himmler if he dyed his hair.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I didn't think this would be a genuine texting who could play Himmler, but here we are.
We can move through. We'll
I
move
think
on to
I
Goering
could
next.
probably...
It could be a Himmler.
I think I'm skinny enough. And also I've got the temper for it.
What's happened there? This is a strange turn of events. You suddenly put yourself forward. It's all gone a bit Perkins.
Listen, now we understand. You played the long game
There
with
isn't
this.
a Himmler movie, can I make that?
Yet.
Though, off the back of Dunkirk. Who knows?
Yeah. Do you think the inhabitants of Dunkirk feel slightly resentful that we've slightly appropriated their spirit, as it were?
Oh, the spirit of Dunkirk.
Well, we've made it a British thing, but of course it's not British,
Dunkirk
is it?
Spirit, that's true.
It's like us saying the spirit Parisienne or something about ourselves.
Yeah, so if they did anything that was really sort of lovely, communal and upstanding, they couldn't say, that's the Dunkirk Spirit.
yeah.
'Cause
So, no,
people
that's
say,
ours.
No, I think they're fine. That's a British thing.
Yeah. How would we feel if we had the spirit de Birmingham?
Yeah, and in fact, the Dunkirk
if the
spirit-
French people talked about that.
I'd be all right with that.
The Dunkirk spirit involves leaving Dunkirk as well.
Yeah, it does. Getting out of there by any means possible is what it involves. It's true. I think the people of Dunkirk, the Dunkirkians,
You've been hard done by, Frank.
hard done.
I mean, late review and all, but still.
Yeah. And also, if you live in a place that sounds a bit like William Shatner's CV. Of course, the music is by Hans Zimmer, speaking of...
Is it?
Deutschland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's good.
good.
I was on the One Show with him once. This is when I felt...
Work with them all, Steve.
This is when I felt I'd been more trusted by the media. Because, when I started off, I was seen as a slightly loose cannon, I think, as a bit of a loose banjo cannon.
You were. But you were a bit seen as a bit Hawaiian shirt japes.
And now I'm so trustworthy that they gave, on the One Show, which is live primetime television, with Hans Zimmer, they gave me a picture of him and they said, can you draw a funny moustache on this?
Oh, wow, that's trust.
And I went for, the handlebar job. I think I might have gone for Fu Manchu, which I know is borderline, but compared to where I could have gone.
It's good because you'd worry, if you hear Hans Zimmer, you would worry that someone's about to hand you a walking frame now that you're 60.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Steve.
We go with the ages.
Oh, Steve.
I've been framed. Anyway, here's one of the acting. They're all about real. So you don't have to be heard because this is a bit. But in real life,
IRL, I believe the kids say.
yeah, IRL.
Yeah.
When you're talking to someone and they say, what you say is, what did you say? You never see that. You never see that in drama. Wouldn't it be great if that was written into dramas? What? What? I was saying. I'm sorry, I can't. What are you saying?
Or someone mispronouncing something and someone correcting them.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Or somebody just saying the
Wouldn't
wrong
you love
word.
that?
The
It's
way
like
you
Alan
say-
said Descartes and someone said, oh, actually it's Descartes.
Yeah, the
got
way
that
you
wrong.
say the wrong word
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah.
It'd be
You say the
really,
wrong
if
word.
there's a really emotional scene, oh, sorry, I spat on you when I said that.
Yeah. And they say, what? No, sneezing. Almost no sneezing unless it's a major plot point.
Or the mobile should be going off a lot as
There
well.
should
Come on.
be.
I mean, not in Dunkirk, obviously,
There
but...
should be stuff like to be
Yeah.
or not. Hold on. or not to be. That they weren't real, these people.
Sorry, you got some pesto in your teeth. Just sort it out. I can't look at it. Carry on.
Well, they do that in Deadpool. You got something in your teeth, yeah.
Well,
he's being tortured by a bloke, and he says to the bloke, "Actually, you got something in your teeth." I recommend Deadpool. It's very, very fine.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Now, we've had a tweet just now from Johnny Mullins saying, "I want to hear more about Emily's acting career." And we've previously...
On 0898.
We've previously been contacted by Tetrarch Angel, who said according
one of
to...
yours, Frank?
No.
Oh, OK. The Archangels. Thought they were your lot.
Tetrarch. But wasn't Tetrarch? I'm getting mixed up with Petrarch now, the poet. Oh, it's very... Why don't people just call it like Steve Williams? Steve Williams?
Yeah.
Remember him? OK.
And they say, according to IMDb, you played child uncredited.
Oh, come on.
Well, they call it the Titanic.
That is the one.
But I don't understand how you can say, according to what is it? What's the initial?
IMDb, Internet Movie
Database. Yeah.
According to IMDb, you played child uncredited because that's a credit, isn't it? Child uncredited.
Yeah. That's true. How did they know this? Well, I like the idea of being child uncredited. That might be my album title.
That was the old days. That was like the modern version of Little Children Should Be Seen and Not Heard.
Now, well, they used to occasionally, and I'm going to name and shame these people, if they needed us to shoot some more scenes, they would, on this very film, they would come in and the producer personally gave us I said, "Do you want £5?"
Brilliant.
And then we had to roll. I mean, it was pretty unpleasant what we were having to do. We had to pretend we were really hungry and we'd seen food for the first time in ages. So we were stuffing our faces full of food.
What, how does that happen on
Titanic? Oh, no, that wasn't Titanic. Oh, excuse me. That was Memoirs of a Survivor with Julie Christie. Sorry.
Oh, well, I mean, I was going to say they had food on the Titanic.
Yeah, but, you know.
The trouble is they also had water.
No, that I was playing someone in the upper section of the boat.
Oh, I see.
Fair
enough.
I like that the film was called SOS Titanic. Just the SOS needed, just in case anyone thought it was the Titanic with a really happy ending.
Isn't that their way of saying we're cutting to the chase?
Yeah.
SOS, interestingly, SOS, I believe, stands for Save Our Souls, doesn't it?
Yes, I believe
That's
so.
what we look to you for, Frank.
In an irreligious age, you think they'd have changed that?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't know back then.
What would it...
Save our skins. But then it sounds like you're leaving your body to dermatology.
Someone says I can hear every mouse click.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's like George Eliot at Middlemarch saying it would, if you felt everyone else's pain, it would be like being able to hear the grass grow. There you go. Absolute Radio, where real literature matters. I always imagine that the horror of hitting the iceberg would be slightly softened by seeing about 100 penguins fall over at the same time. Do you think that would be true?
We didn't act with actual ice, as I recall.
No.
There was a lot of night.
But did you have to stand on like...
We stood on deck.
Floors that were at an acute angle. Did you have to do a lot of that?
No.
Or did you have to jump about?
They fix it in post, love. They fix it in post.
Where did you film it?
Some studio. I can't remember where. Was it Prime? Well, I can't remember. I was about 7 years old.
Okay,
a London-based studio. It might have been Pinewood.
How did it happen then?
Oh, you rascal.
Don't you think, I'm going to ask you a Jewish question. Steve is Jewish, so I can ask him this.
What do you call it?
Don't you think that if you became a rapper, you could do a lot worse as a Jewish rapper than being called Iceberg?
Oh, yeah.
Be perfect.
Yeah.
You can have that, Steve.
Find a new career.
Well, I don't think I can do the Jewish rapper thing. I don't think people would like it, but you obviously are.
Yeah, go for it.
Have you ever rapped on stage? I bet you have.
We did a...
Come on, you
Yes.
have.
We did do a... I mean, but it's one of those things, you know, when you look back on a comedy career and you do things, you kind of go, I hate it when a comedian raps, and then you go, oh, we did that exact thing that I've just said I hated.
Yes.
So we did a rap. I did a rap with the obese comedian Greg Davis.
Oh, I wouldn't say he was obese, would
Well, he's no Obelix.
you? No. He's more of a...
I'd say he's
wish I
just-
hadn't started that sentence.
You know what? I'd say
As I
he's
think
impressive.
Ronnie Biggs once said.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
What about Gareth Malone?
Oh, yeah.
You know him, the choir master
I
guy?
know him.
He'd be perfect, wouldn't he?
For what?
Himmler.
Oh, right.
He's got the haircut and
It would
everything.
be good,
yeah.
actually. Yeah.
We've had a couple of correcciones coming in.
Yeah.
Where to start?
Correzione, correzione, ole, ole, ole. Go on.
A couple of people have texted to say that SOS doesn't actually stand for anything.
Rubbish.
That it was just easier to type in Morse code. So...
Well, because it's dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, dot, dot.
Yeah, and someone 628 has said that it's just dot dot dash dash dot dot, which has blown my
I
mind.
love this conversation.
What happened to the rest of the show in Morse code? Well, why didn't they just make it S then? That would have been easier, wouldn't it?
Well, 990 says, when I was about
When
6...
you say 990, do you mean...
No, I mean the prisoner.
Oh, yeah.
Says, when I was about 6, our family drove through the Birkenhead Tunnel, which had emergency telephones signed with SOS to show where to get help. I asked what SOS meant, and my nan said, save our souls.
Yes.
This led me to believe there was some kind of prayer station at regular intervals in the tunnel. Which I think is quite a good idea, really.
It's a lovely idea.
Yeah. The Save Our Souls station.
Well, people always say... So you're saying it didn't stand for Save Our Souls? It's just...
Supposedly that's an urban myth that has...
What kind of an urban myth is that?
I know.
This is what people...
I mean, it's not up there with Marilyn Manson being the kid from the Wonder Years, is it? No, honestly.
And then a few people have also pointed out that the Titanic hit the iceberg in the Northern Hemisphere, so there would have been no penguins.
393 says...
No penguins in the Northern Hemisphere?
No penguins. Yeah, I'm sure you know.
You heard it here first. There are no penguins in the Northern Hemisphere. What about the North Pole? None there?
I think they're all south of the equator, your penguin.
I don't know if they can afford to live in the south.
So much price here, isn't it?
Yeah, they must have a few bob.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Speaking of which, I went to the Natural History Museum this
Oh,
week.
I miss my evenings out with skeletons. I miss fashion.
You can always come out with me. I got to be honest. Of all the human beings I know, I'm probably less interested in natural history than anyone. But my son wanted to see the dinosaurs, so we went. We generally looked around. Have you been to the Natural History Museum in recent times?
Not since they changed the. They got rid of the Diplodocus. I've not been since they got rid of. I think they called it Dippy.
Yes. Well, they have a lot of stuffed animals in there. It's
Don't
quite a
take
big
this the wrong
thing.
way, but I see it as quite 70s, which is why I haven't been in some time.
Well, the stuffed animals. How can I put this? Because although I'm not interested in natural history particularly, I'm very glad it exists.
course.
My son, we had 5 hours there.
Yeah.
We had a lovely time. But they've seen better days, the stuffed animals.
Oh, yeah.
There was the koala was basically white. It looked like they'd had it in the window. I'm not joking. It was like a snow koala, if there is such a thing. Snow-ala, they'd call them, wouldn't they? If they had. Do they have snow in Australia ever? 8, 12, 15.
It's happened sometimes, yeah. Do they... Oh, I don't like that. you
No.
see.
Honestly, it wasn't.
It's broken Britain, Frank. They're not paying the bills for the cleaners.
It wasn't good, and I had to explain because my son had recently been given a toy koala by an Australian friend of mine. And of course he was confused at the difference in shade.
Is there a snowy koala?
No, of course there isn't. They live in Australia. I think they've all got chlamydia as well.
They do. That is a big problem.
Probably shouldn't talk about that on Breakfast Radio.
Koalas, they go to university, they act recklessly.
I'm just taking a little picture of the producer's face when we said that.
No, I'm just doing it as a health warning.
And, Frank, not only that...
This one looked like it had got something. It looked like it had seen a ghost, this koala.
You don't want to hang out with koalas. They have STDs, and there's no easy way of saying this, but they're strung out most of the time.
Yeah, but
on the eucalyptus. They're druggies
This
as well.
one looked like it had been working on. It had been working on Britain's Most Haunted. It was so pale. Oh dear.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Steve Hall is with us this morning. Hold on, I'll see if I've got a suitable...
I like it.
You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
So we're in the Natural History Museum, and you were really disappointed by the somewhat threadbare koalas.
Threadbare, that's a good pun. Although they're not actually bears, I think, are they? One of the great discoveries of the 21st century is they're not bears. Koalas.
Horrible eyes.
I like their eyes. I
find them gross.
I think the eyes on toy koalas look more like real eyes than the eyes on koalas.
Yeah.
And that's always a good thing.
So there was the albino koala.
Yeah, and generally, I feel bad saying it, but they need a whole new batch of stuffed animals. And is it still all right, taxidermy? Is it one of the things that's gone under the political correctness sledgehammer?
That's true.
Well, I think a lot of this, because the new blue whale, I think it's really old, isn't it? The bones of the blue whale, it's something like the late 1800s, I think.
Oh, is it that old? Wow.
It's either that or...
You're the one who called it the new blue whale.
And certainly the Diplodocus was similarly ancient.
Well, it would have to be. I'm not suggesting they top up the dinosaur bones, but they look terrible. They look like really bad pyjama cases, most of the animals in there.
Did they?
Maybe there'll be koalas in the same way that we can donate ourselves to science. Maybe there'll be a koala that will happily donate itself to the Natural History Museum.
I tell you what, I wouldn't want its eyes. Gross.
They got Darwin's pigeons in there, which was the pigeons that Charles Darwin used for some of his ghastly experiments.
Oh,
I think.
Are they the real ones then?
Yeah, they're his actual pigeons.
Mm-hmm.
You both look astonished. Just tell me.
Well, no, I just always think it's like in the London dungeons when they say, here are the actual rats that caused the plague. And that puts the fear of God into me.
Yeah, I don't. Is that true?
What if the perspex broke?
Well, these are actually in a box, and they're called... you see,
they're all in a box. Everything starts in a box.
They are just pigeons, though. Are they just normal pigeons?
But they're Darwin's pigeons.
But I reckon someone's lost them at some point. I reckon that's the sort of thing someone would go, oh God, there's a dead pigeon in here. This is disgusting, and they throw it away.
No.
They were Darwin's
what about
pigeons.
953, who says Steve Hall has a hot voice?
Really?
The 3D reality, though, is terrible. It's very disappointing.
I wouldn't say terrible. I'm trying to champion ugly people this morning. It was a joke.
I'm a cross between David Baddiel and Mark Watson. That's sort of
in
my
case
face.
you're wondering.
Oh.
But science, which is very, very cool nowadays, you can't get round the fact, for all its coolness and its being on trend, it is the regal home of vivisection. I mean, it's very big on gassing things and cutting things up. So, Darwin, they look fairly unharmed. He must have, he'd have been a good
I presume you mean Charles Darwin's pigeon, not John Darwin, the canoe man's pigeons.
Now, didn't you fancy his son?
Yeah, of course I did. He was one of my obscure crush, the son of John Darwin Canoeman. And I only had one photograph to base it on, and it was quite a serious feature about him in the Sunday Times magazine, and I may have cut it out.
Ah.
He died, John Darwin, the canoeman, and they played Row, Row, Row the boat at his funeral.
I don't know if that's true.
No, it's not true.
And it's actually it's believable that John Darwin would have pigeons, because that's maybe how he communicated with his wife.
I tell you what, there is because I don't want to say don't. It's a very interesting place if you're into that sort of thing, just rubbish stuffed animals. But they have a simulation of a Japanese earthquake, which was top-notch.
I think I've done that.
So you go into like a supermarket and you can see on the CCTV the real thing and the floor's moving under your feet.
Wow.
I've been on that.
That's
Frank.
exciting. We went twice. We had 2 earthquakes. We had an aftershock. That was great. So I'm interviewing Al Gore this week. So when he brings up earthquakes, I can say, I know about earthquakes.
I mean, you dropped that in. That's quite impressive.
Yeah. I know about earthquakes, Al. Don't have to tell him. I've been there, done that.
Went on the simulator at the Natural
I don't have to tell him that part. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Actually, if that's true of Al Gore, is it? It's what he does know that's going to hurt
the problem.
maybe all of us.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've just had a text from 812 suggesting another Himmler being Sven-Goran Eriksson.
Not bad.
Not a bad suggestion.
Bad.
I love that he's 8'12". That's why he listens to us.
Oh, perfect, yes.
What if he's age 15?
Oh, come on, that'd be amazing.
Too good to believe.
Yeah.
So this week saw the bowing out, speaking of the Natural History Museum, saw the bowing out of one of the greats of British culture, Prince Philip.
Oh,
yes.
Has finally
love
retired.
Philip.
Yes. He
wore a bowler hat and a Columbo mat.
Yeah.
That was a
The
great
last
combo.
hurrah.
Very Mr.
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah. Sort of shades of a Clockwork Orange to that bowler hat.
I wish
I
he'd worn
love
the
that.
white overalls with the bowler hat and had one eye very made up. That would have been
But
brilliant.
there was something about the bowler hat and the sort of brown Mac that did look a bit Removal Man in the 40s.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, the gas man.
Yeah. I rather liked it. And they played for He's a Jolly Good Fellow.
They used to say that when I was a kid. Some people would say he's got a face as long as a gas man's Mac.
I miss the days when the odd job man would dress properly.
Yeah, so I suppose it is. You can't get round the end of an era.
It is.
cliche.
It absolutely is. But it's kind of weird because obviously he's retiring. And you know how sometimes when people retire, they then become more irascible and a bit more racist? Which, in his case, kind of beggars belief if you can go further
Well,
than
I
that.
think people used to... just general extreme comments of all kinds from the elderly, people used to be more tolerant
Yeah.
of than they are
Right, yeah,
now.
yeah.
I mean, I was looking forward to that freedom. But I think now, even if your gran says something, you're supposed to
Yeah.
really tell them off.
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to get their arm really high up their backs as well till they say something different.
I found it quite moving. Some because he's done 22,219 solo engagements.
You know what? I tried to do the math on that of how many a year.
How many a year is that? Can we work out?
I think...
Can we get some boffins on that, please?
I think it's about 322 a year.
That's
Can
amazing.
that possibly be...
I mean, it's pretty much one a day, this character. It's only a few days off a year.
I mean, imagine the level of small talk he's done.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any if he thinks it's more. There's like some that have to go to the dubious solo engagements committee.
Oh, right.
Get chalked off technically.
Steve, stop wobbling the
The
table.
assist is given to Prince Andrew.
Stop wobbling the table, Steve. It reminds her of SOS Titanic. He's the poster boy for +1s the world over.
He's a poster boy for the Get Back Love, which we've all had. Well, you haven't, Frank. But at the premiere, when you turn up and
Do you
you're with
think-
someone famous and they say, Get Back Love.
Do you think people just hand him a mobile phone to take a picture of them and the Queen without saying, would you take a photo? That's what they did to Kath. They just give her the phone and then they put their arm around me and she's supposed to guess the rest and not worry about common politeness.
And does she ever then deliberetely do a bad photo to...
Not deliberately.
Well, I had this at the boxing with Frank and other things I never thought I'd say. And someone said, oh, let's take a picture of you. I thought, I don't want to be on your roll.
No, it's... but generally, let me say, people are lovely.
They are.
what I've been enjoying... There's loads... Because obviously the coverage of Prince Philip has been quite in-depth. There's things I didn't know. They've been doing the full list of his quotes. There are things I'd never known. You know the famous ones.
Be careful what you're saying.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, this is... Yeah, less so the
Let's
offensive
not do the
ones.
greatest hits.
I loved... Apparently he told a 13-year-old child who wanted to work in space, and he told that child, you're too fat to be an astronaut. And I'd never heard that one.
Wow.
And apparently he said to Tom Jones after a Royal Variety performance, he said, what do you gargle with? Pebbles? And I quite enjoyed that. I thought that's quite
it doesn't mean anything. Like so many things that the people laugh at with the royals doesn't actually mean anything. Does it? What does it mean, that?
Well, he said to the Marines, he said, you should all be locked up. That was his parting shot, because they'd done a charity run.
They'd done some big, Yes. That might be an insight into his view on the treatment of mental health. We don't know. He's... we should be nice about him this week, I think. I imagine the local wildlife are a bit nervous to hear that he's retiring from public life.
Yeah.
See if you can catch a new koala for the...
I didn't know that one of his titles is Baron Greenwich. Which sounds like a tasty geezer. All right, it's Baron Greenwich.
I think it sounds like someone from Danger Mouse. Actually, isn't there someone? Baron Greenback, is it?
Yeah, Silas von Greenback.
I don't know. I must catch up on Danger Mouse.
Didn't they redo it recently?
I've never seen
they
it,
did.
darling.
I think Alexander Armstrong was one of the voices.
He's in everything, Alexander Armstrong. Here's a question, 12:15. Does the Queen wear a paper crown at Christmas lunch?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
On the subject of royal duties, I learnt recently, and I was really taken aback by... Wouldn't you say, if you were approaching the age of 100... what is one of the things that you would absolutely expect? It would be a signed card from the Queen.
You want that telegram,
Yeah. Now you get the card from the Queen, but the signature is printed.
Is that right?
Not actually written.
So did it used to be her actual signature?
Yeah. Which is obviously what's the point of a printing? Do you remember when I told you that I wrote to Dennis Law and asked for his autograph and he sent me a flyer for shredded wheat?
I do remember
and
that.
it had his printed autograph and I was disgusted. The Queen's doing the same thing. And not just been advertising shredded wheat.
If Philip gets that in 4 years' time and it's printed, he'll just be like, come on, Liz, you could have...
I think it's poor. I think her argument is she's getting older and so's everybody else.
Well, aren't we all, dear?
Yeah, but the argument, there's more 100-year-olds than there used to be.
I wonder how many hundreds... What are they called? Centenarians? Or not centurions. But
Centenarians.
Oh, yeah, lovely, Frank. But how many are there per year?
You'd think she could manage a proper signature. Someone's 100. It's I think that put me off her. It did. I think you got to make a bit more. We've all done signings when you do like 1,000 in a go. That's going to keep it going for a bit, surely.
Yeah.
Collector's cards. That's what you should get from the Queen.
Yeah.
The only way I've ever signed my autograph 1,000 times is as a teenager practicing. I'll never have that.
I'm sorry I brought it up now.
One of the songs that they played for him was Life on the Ocean Wave.
Oh, I love that.
And I realised that's one of those songs where I don't know any of the words. There are certain songs where you just repeat the title all the way through.
On the Ocean Wave.
A Life on the Ocean Wave. A Life on the Ocean.
I only know the Matey remix.
Yes. New Mate is a bundle of fun or whatever like that, yeah.
Yeah, so A Life on the Ocean Wave 2.0, I know.
It'll wash the bath as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that? That's a little bit before my time. So what? It advertised it by saying
that's
it
cold,
cleans
Frank.
your,
That's
it
a bit
cleans
cold.
your bath as well.
Yeah, it cleaned
That
the
was
bath.
the point of
Fantastic.
Matey, is that you didn't need to, the ladies, back in the day it was the ladies,
Yeah, probably.
yeah, they didn't need to do that, didn't need to scrub the ring. It was all done.
Wow, they should bring it back.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually
I'm
gone away.
bringing matey back.
I think it might still be around.
Frank, I like that you just moved on so swiftly from I'm bringing Matey back.
I don't get that. What does it mean?
I'm bringing Sexy back was a Justin Timberlake song.
Oh well, I didn't know what the damn thing meant. I was just moving. Now I'm starting to sound like the Duke of
But
Edinburgh.
what about when Tim Vine did an impression, or did it for Let's Dance for Comic Relief, and you were the judge? He had a white hat. It looked
Oh,
a bit
was
like he
that
worked in
him doing
Tesco's
it?
fish
Oh, I
department.
remember that.
But he had the white hat and the white
That's
suit.
what he
Do you
sang.
remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Duke of Edinburgh looks so red at that.
Yeah, he did.
Face looks so red.
Actually, I've worked out what he looks like, Frank. He looked like he was coming out of Sotheby's moving a work of art with that overall jack coat
Yeah,
and
with
the
the-
bowler hat.
I
He
think
was
it-
moving a painting from Sotheby's.
In the bowler hat, he looked like if Darth Maul had got a job in the city. Is what he looked like.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
I think it was quite a classy departure of Phil's.
I'm glad there was no tears or anything like that.
Oh, not with Pippi. He just, he didn't even look back.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that, because when I leave parties, I do what's called a French goodbye, Steve, which is, it's rude, essentially. I just leave.
Don't say that.
I don't
Good.
say
I thought you were
goodbye
going to say
to
you
the
kiss
host.
everyone with tongues in a French goodbye. But
Well, obviously, that's an Emily goodbye. But I just think it's better, because I don't want to ruin their evening. And if I say I'm going, they'll think the whole party's over. And also just that sense that everyone's leaving, it makes you feel panicky. I just let them sit there in their ignorance.
Well, I've spent longer saying goodbye at a party than I spend sort of being at the party, if you know what I mean. And I like to leave without saying goodbye, because then I can later claim that I stayed a little bit later than I did.
Can I give you a little tipette? Always say, about 11:30 I stayed till. I've been doing it for about 25 years. No one's ever questioned it. Normally I've left at 9. But I say, that's 11:30, 11:45. Midnight gets dangerous, because they might have noticed. 11:30.
I think people, when I leave now, they play a Life on the Ocean Way. Whatever the next line is.
Well,
If anyone knows that I think it begins a Life on the Ocean Wave. If
it's
anyone
got to be
knows,
something like something life for me.
I had this problem with Frosty the Snowman. My whole life I've gone Frosty the Snowman.
Was a very... He's got to be was a very... Wasn't he a very something?
Very special guy. Or is that
Jeremiah?
You had a relationship with him?
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Yeah, Jeremiah was a good
just
friend of mine. I
getting
know
a-
that second
I'm getting a
line.
bit worried about Frank's relationship with Frosty the Snowman.
I always found Frosty the Snowman a bit aloof. I don't know about you. Like that Dr. No, very negative. Very negative character. I think that there's... there was a bit of sort of anti-royal in the comments I saw.
Oh, was there? What did they say?
You know, stuff like, it's not really work, is it? Because I think some people are angry that Jeremy Corbyn had said, congratulations on a very well-earned retirement.
Right.
And you think, steady on, comrade. Don't knock the house of cards down you've built now, mate.
No one talks about my Pippi like that.
But when I did the math, I think he's done. I just think it is work, isn't it? Turning up, especially when you're 90.
Yeah.
What about when they played Sailing, Rod Stewart?
Did they play that as well?
They did.
Yeah. I like it
I
when the
didn't
band
see
has
that.
to play a
Have
modern
you got the
tune.
set list for the Royal Marines farewell to the Duke of Edinburgh? What else would have been on it?
I've got it on my.
sorry,
It's a
yeah.
playlist I've got now. I listen to it every day when I have Kanye West Stronger and then the Royal Marine set list.
It's all
Star Wars
it was
theme.
all aquatic. It was all aquatic themed.
Oh, was it?
So because of the Marines and his history in the Navy, so maybe it would have been My Heart Will Go On.
They could have done My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean.
Yeah.
I love that one.
I
love working out to that.
If he'd have done something really bad, he'd have had to sit on the nautical step.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I'll tell you what I don't like about the... when they get their most praise, the Royals, is when they've done something which the press have decided is down to earth.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want the royal family to be is down to earth.
No.
I want them to be at a level of poshness that they operate as like laboratory specimens that you can look at from the outside. That's their job, isn't it? Down to earth. I can look out the window.
Yeah.
So obviously he was being praised for the nonchalant way he finished. So would you want him to just kick a peasant?
No, I'm not saying go that far.
This sometimes comes out with Steve, though, Frank. He did go to a private school, and privilege sometimes gets the better of him.
You're right, though. They were doing it as if he was so down to earth. I was wondering what they wanted him to do, like if he kissed the badge or sort of did it like
if he kissed the badge, that would have been great.
Yeah.
If it had been like a footballer leaving.
I'd have loved that.
If he'd have done that clapping above his head.
Oh, I'd have loved that.
That would have been really... Thrown his shirt into the crowd.
Gives his shoes to a... gives his shoes to a 10-year-old child waiting by the gates.
Thrown a towel at a middle-aged man, resulting in a tussle. What's happened to Towel Man at Wimbledon?
If he had his name printed on his back and just pointed to it with two thumbs.
I think he has to have it printed on his front now, just sort of as an aide to memoir.
And wandered around clapping in the manner of sort of Martin Keown at a testimonial.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
I don't think these things through.
No.
My pro-royal thing is that there's a lot more gingers now than there used to be. And as the father of a ginger child, I think it's important they have champions. It used to just be the corgis. And then Fergie.
Henry VIII, in fairness.
Was he ginger?
Oh, was he ever?
And, of course, he wouldn't have got any acting work.
This is
Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Fergie, of course, who married in, but now Harry is probably
Harry's the ginger.
He's the champion.
Well, Diana brought it from her family. God rest her soul.
Is the gingers in her family?
Yeah, her
the
brother, the brother who gave the lovely speech. He's
Duke of Earl?
ginger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, him. Was he ginger?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's all good. It's all good news.
Because there's a picture of him as a stroppy teenager in the wedding in 1981, and he's got very long, lustrous
They've got
ginger
Titian.
hair.
All right, calm down, dear. They've got Titian in their game.
Do you think when they play cards together, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh, that she says stuff like, "Oh, I've just got a me flush." Just got a Jack Queen me and a me flush.
The thing is, at their age, a me flush, they might need to reach for the tenor lady. That's it.
But do they do jokes about being the Queen and stuff? I really hope they do.
I bet it gets old, though. Come on. I mean, how old are these people?
Yeah, but that's good because they won't remember. They can do the same jokes every day. It's an enormous plus. If they got rid of the royal family, which some people talk about, apparently one of the big problems is who would you put on the coins?
Oh, yeah. Who would you put? It would just be national treasures fighting each other.
Claire Baldwin.
Yeah. I would put Gary Lineker. Yeah, I think you, Frank, you'd be in the running.
Now you're being ridiculous.
Can you imagine if Frank was on a tenor? Oh, come on.
Well, I did have that one night stand with Pavarotti. No, but who would you put on? Who would you put
if you didn't have the royals?
Because,
well, you'd have to have people who never go out of style. Because you cut that, and that's the problem, is that people get into so many disgraces and scandals.
Yeah, you have to have people who never go out of style. Otherwise, if they'd done it 20 years ago, Neil Morrissey would be on the coins. Doesn't make any sense.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Steve Hall. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Do other countries, can I ask this, do other countries have their current monarch on the coins?
Oh, good question. Well, I don't know the answer to that, but...
In America, it's like George Washington and stuff.
Yeah, it's old
it's
presidents.
Not, like Donald Trump wouldn't be on a coin.
I don't think you can't think of one he'd fit on.
Mike Pence would just be confusing, wouldn't he?
I'd love it if Donald Trump was on a coin, but the hair was just cut off at the end. Didn't quite make it on the whole thing.
There's not a
Poor Donald.
I've had a suggestion from Susie Applin. You're familiar with her, Frank? Acclaimed producer and an dear friend. She says David Attenborough has to be. Oh. What do you think of that suggestion?
Well, he needs to sort the koalas out at the Natural History Museum, first of all. I hadn't thought of someone who wasn't a sort of statesman type, but...
Is he national treasure, then?
Is he liable to be... Is there anything going to come out about David Attenborough that's going to... Because once you've stamped the coins, you don't want a scandal.
Yeah. Is that from when he was controller of BBC Two?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I just think of
he was my dad's boss.
All those antelopes he's allowed to be teared to pieces for the entertainment.
That would be how heartbreaking if there was like an outtake from a Lonely Planet or something like that.
Well,
right?
With him actually tearing apart an antelope.
Are
And
you
then
familiar with Frank's views on
suit.
David Attenborough?
No.
OK, Frank, would you just remind Steve?
Are there Catherine Jenkins levels?
No,
he just thinks he's cruel.
I think that if I saw an antelope by a waterhole and a lion was coming, I would shout, "Lion!" I wouldn't not only let it happen, but film it. Almost
like you're playing football, like you're shouting, "Man on!"
Would you feel happy about filming? If you was out in the jungle and you saw a lion ripping apart an antelope, would you feel happy about filming it?
That's
on
a
your
good
phone?
question.
Or would you think, actually, this is a bit ghoulish?
You can't call David Attenborough ghoulish.
That's what he is.
Natural history expert.
So you're implying his entire career in natural history is some kind of weird fetish?
Not a fetish necessarily, but I wouldn't. If it happens, it
Frank
happens.
thinks it's amoral to stand by.
I think to not warn somebody who's got a lion.
You can't warn the
creeping.
antelope.
Okay.
Why not?
Well, how are you going to tell them?
You just shout.
So do you reckon there's an outtake? So when the little lizard escapes the snakes, that you can actually in the background hear Attenborough go, "Oh damn, he got away."
I bet if you was to look back at those old ones, you'd see the odd 6-inch nail right through the antelope's hoof. I suppose Churchill's your obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people would probably object to him now.
No, they probably would.
Do you know what I mean?
Too associated with smoking.
Cigars and the obesity crisis. Let's face it.
The smoking thing, that's why the French don't have Joan of Arc in their coins.
We've always got to go for fictional characters. It'll have to be sort of Mr. Ben
Sherlock
or Roy.
Holmes.
Yeah.
What about that Obelix? He's got a lot of airtime this morning with the blue and white trousers.
Roy of the Rovers.
Roy Cropper. He sums up a British man.
You've been ridiculous. What about Shakespeare? That's neutral.
Yes.
He's on the money already.
No, but on the coins.
Oh, on the coins, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting how these very famous, like Jane Austen, and they get on the
They
notes,
get on the money.
But the Queen keeps the coins to herself.
You're right, she won't share those coins. No.
Anyway. What else?
We've had a text from 653 on the subject of natural history. 653 went to the Natural History Museum in Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia.
Wow.
And said that there was a parrot hanging upside down from its perch and the fish had googly eyes stuck on.
Why they say googly eyes, like joke shop eyes?
Those
like
ones on springs. The parrot, that could happen over time, couldn't it? The parrot gradually slide round.
If I was going to commit any sort of act of vandalism, that would be it. I'd sneak into the Natural History Museum, I've got contacts everywhere, and stick on those googly eyes onto all the exhibits. I would love that. Albino koala with the googly eyes.
If you saw them, it would only embellish.
Because you might get away with it for decades because there's so many animals there. It could just be...
They just need some more sawdust.
I'd get away with it. I'd be like the Scooby-Doo villain. I'd be like the caretaker.
This is the Marty Feldman parrot.
Yeah.
What's the You're very politically correct, Steve. What's the PC stance on taxidermy in 2017?
I think it's still acceptable, I'm going to guess, but presumably you have to have written consent from the parrot or something like
I
that.
think it's all right with roadkill. That's what I want to do, is I want to collect roadkill and then put together a composite animal of the surviving limbs.
Frank, someone's suggesting Ozzy Osbourne on a coin, Andy and Lynx. Well, that's not going to work.
No, I think you might find these actually skeletons aren't even in the cupboard. I think he destroyed the cupboard with his bare hands.
Yeah.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
After you.
See, this never happens in acting.
I know, it's so true.
They do that again.
It's so true.
But it happens in life.
Yeah, always happens in life. Steve?
Well, we've been talking about Prince Philip standing down after a very long time.
Yeah.
Of course, in the news this week, there was someone who left their job after a very short time.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Scaramucci.
Anthony Scaramucci.
The mooch.
Yeah.
Can no one say anything about Fandango, please? Because that's very basic bloke. There's been a lot of people doing that on Twitter, and I won't tolerate it.
Yeah. And it's interesting. my mind goes more to Scaramanga from the Bond films than...
Oh, I like that in you.
That's good. That gets the thumbs up. That's okay.
Yeah, it does. I like that.
Yeah, it's the one in Enemy of the World when Patrick Troughton plays the doctor and the enemy. Isn't he called something like Scaramanda?
Oh, yeah, I'll probably know
yeah.
that. Let me have a think. Oh, no, I don't.
Yes, well, this bloke came out of nowhere, and what I liked is that someone said that Mr. Trump, President Trump, thought that his comments to a reporter were inappropriate for a person in that position.
Yeah.
This is from Donald Trump. And, man, you've really got to go off the scale if Trump's going, oh, hold on a minute. Remember where we are.
But the people with the MAGA caps, they don't like they like to work clean.
What, the Make America Great Again?
Yeah, sitting on the porch, on the rocking chair.
I don't know.
Don't like
Some
blue.
of the things that he has said about ladies, for example, they seem to forgive that all right.
Oh, that's okay, yeah. But you just can't use Category C swear words.
No.
Which I believe he did.
Yeah.
And to a journalist on the record, that's the most remarkable thing. It's not just, it wasn't on a hot mic or something like that. It was, he specifically phoned a journalist to say these ridiculous things.
But I know we all have our problems with President Trump, but has there ever been a more exciting time in American politics?
fabulous.
Every day there's something.
It's amazing.
It's like Captain America Civil War. It's like everyone's falling out, and it's endlessly.
I've stopped watching box sets. You don't need to watch any entertainment at all.
You know, when he said he wanted to get rid of fake news, he's done it by replacing it with so much real news. There's no room for it. Fake news sounds pretty tame.
They do say the secret to happiness in all these self-help books and all sorts of therapy and things and retreats, they always say the secret to that is to really not care what others think of you. And in fairness, that is how he lives his life. I have a grudging respect for it. I would have been up all night thinking this will look really bad. I can't get rid of him already.
I sort of think that he does care about how people think about him. He just that he misjudges it a bit. I mean, I can't get round the fact that he's endlessly fascinating in a way no other American president has ever been.
Yeah. Like people, like 100 years from now, when we history lessons at school, when you write about the significant figures of the past, you can, there are reasons why someone did what they did. Whereas I feel sorry for any history student 100 years from now writing about this period. So going, what were the motivations? You go, well, he was just a bit sleepy.
I'm jelly bags of anyone writing about this. I think it's brilliant. But I do like that Scaramucci said he was focusing on his family, who appear to have all abandoned him, and his work in the private sector.
Well, my favourite thing he said was that he hated the backstabbing in Washington, and where he come from, they went in for front stabbing.
Yeah.
And I'm all for front stabbing.
Yeah. But he really was.
That's a good thing.
Like he was like an extra from Saturday Night Fever.
Yes.
The way he would say some of those.
I worry about people that say, the neighbourhood I grew up in. I always think,
on Main Street.
You know, when you get to someone's house and you say, I'll park my car, and they go, round here, want to be careful. And you think, don't. Make yourself a hero, because 2 years ago somebody hit somebody in a pub 3 miles away.
How he left, but we were talking about leaving. He said, I'm going to go dark for a while. I think that's quite classy. Yeah, he said, I'm going dark. And I like that. He's going underground. It's very Lex Luthor, isn't it, approach
I'm
to a
hoping he
departure.
remains in the public eye. I'm thinking I might like Scaramucci. Good for him. What's the shortest job you've ever had? 8, 12, 15.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a few responses already to what's the shortest time you've ever been in a job.
Yeah.
567 says, the shortest job I ever had was in 2009. I was late for my first day in a call centre. I got so angry and flustered, I reversed into an air conditioning unit on the side of the building when trying to park. I got out, looked at the damage and thought, stuff this, and drove home.
So never got inside.
Oh, never.
What
got
I'd like
inside.
to do, if I made a short film about this, is to cut to everyone dead in the office from heat exposure.
David Attenborough. What about 718? Hi, Frank. I once had a job watching machines make football scarves, and my only job was to stop the machine if the cotton reel was about to run out. I lasted 3 days.
That's
and
not bad.
my uncle who got me the job could not understand why I'd given up such a good job. That's Stefan from Nottingham.
It's a good job if you want to, someone in a pub says, what do you do?
Yeah.
You got the conversation is suddenly rocking straight away.
Yeah.
I work on the football scarf machine. I'd be happy
If
with
you're
that.
watching the cotton and your name's Joe, and you'd be Cotton Eye Joe, that would be the...
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
Have you had any short jobs?
I was fired from a job after 2 days. I was doing pot wash at a local restaurant.
I beg your pardon.
And...
What's that? You wash pots?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
literally just the washing up boy, and I was so terrible at it. A bloke just directly went, get out of third gear. And they took me to one side after my second day, and they basically said, this is the wrong job. They was actually really appreciated it. They said, you're a nerd, you need to do something with computers, anything physical you can't do. But
considering they'd only known you 2 days, they were over familiar.
yeah.
But you know what? I love get out of third gear.
Oh, that's good.
I mean,
I
about
still-
washing pots.
Well, that's the thing I say
The
to-
idea that there is a fifth gear
Yeah.
when it comes to
But
washing
it's
pots.
a thing when I'm doing the washing up, I sometimes say it to myself as a little pep me up, get out of third gear.
Well, I suppose if you're doing it slow,
Yeah, well,
if you were lackluster.
and that's the thing, I was taking pride in the work, so I was trying to make sure they were
I
clean.
see.
But
What's wrong with third gear? I mean, this was the 80s, I presume, or pre-speeding, when it was considered good to go fast. Now, third gear is the ideal gear, I would say.
Well,
what about yourself?
I've had a few. But I did canvassing for the Liberal Democrats for 9 hours.
9 hours and
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, because I did some hours the day before, and then I did 3 the next morning.
Did
I
you
thought, I'm not coming
wear
back.
Did you wear a rosette?
Yellow sweatshirt with a shirt underneath? No. I did it, and they would listen into your phone call, and you'd have to go through these sort of... And I remember going through them thinking...
Oh, you weren't knocking on doors. Oh.
I didn't do that. I did it on the phone. And then I worked in a vintage clothes shop, but I smoked all day, so I made the clothes smell in Brighton.
But their clothes are supposed to smell
Well,
in
that's what I
vintage.
thought, but I don't think they want fresh smoke all over it.
No, maybe not.
When I was a student, yeah.
I did a day as crew at Birmingham Rep. And it was such hard work. I remember having to climb up these ladders with weights to put on the flies, to get the curtains going.
Yeah.
And this guy, the bloke who was running the crew was called Sebastian. I'd never met anyone with a name even like that before. And I remember going there, I was so pleased I'd got the job and excited and thinking I'll probably end up as one of these actor managers like Sir Donald Wolfett with my own travelling company and all that. And I never went day 2.
Oh,
And I still look back and think, that could have been I should have stuck with it. I could have been a theatre person now. Like, Hugh Binky Beaumont, one of those sort of entrepreneurs.
yeah.
So if you're listening, Sebastian, or anyone who knew him, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I just never got out of third gear.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a tweet from Jules the chef who says a good pot washer is worth their weight in gold, and they're always in fifth gear.
He actually said, Steve, and that was very nice of you to correct, he actually said they were always in 5 gear,
Yes,
which I prefer in some ways.
and I was a big fan of 5, so I was wearing lots of their merch.
Yeah.
Everybody get up.
I think
That was another thing he said to you.
it is simply not good enough third gear if you're
Oh,
washing
absolutely.
pots.
I had no complaints when I was ousted from my post.
What, not even rosacea? So, what else? We already spoke to Steve.
Yeah, we want to know what's going on in your
Well,
life,
it's nice.
Steve.
I'm enjoying. I always encourage Alan to do the Edinburgh Festival, if possible, because it means I might get to cover on this. So it's a
that's
sort
nice.
of yearly dipping my toe back in the absolute
By
waters.
the way, if anyone's seen Alan, spotted him up there at the show or just on the street, keep us posted.
Yeah.
Where's Cocky, we could call it.
That's sort of Where Are You, Mark, from the Big Breakfast
Yeah.
motif.
They used to do a thing in the papers, things like the Daily Sketch would have a thing that our man is at Southend-on-Sea today.
Yeah.
And if you approach him and you're carrying a copy of the paper, you get £5 or something like that. They don't do
yes,
that
yeah.
anymore.
Don't
in the
hold your
paper.
breath with Alan if you,
So it could
if
be-
you have
if you
£5.
go to, you are Alan Cochrane and I claim my £5.
No,
Yeah,
that
you're not
won't.
going to get £5.
That won't work.
You might get a cuddle.
So, Steve, sorry, you were about to tell us
Yeah.
about your
Well,
life.
when I did it last night, I think I barely mentioned them. So since I've been last, probably I now have 2 children. I have my daughter Polly
Congratulations.
is 3, my son Joe is 1,
Lovely.
and they just started nursery a fortnight ago, and it's very, very weird.
They
Suddenly,
started together.
yeah.
Starting together. Sue Pollard.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, that was for a... Don't you know they were starting together?
Oh, Miss Cathcart. That's
Anyway.
how I think about it. No, I didn't know she had a single out. That's
she-
the
you
trouble
know-
with those spaghetti straps.
She was married to one of my gay godfathers.
Oh, yeah.
You
Was
know
he a
that, yeah.
policeman?
No,
Oh.
we'll talk. Carry
So
on.
I've been enjoying. I have relatively free time for the first time in 3 years. And it's odd, like the little tasks you think you're going to do. I live in rented accommodation, and there's a fairly filthy old fireplace there. And so I thought, now the children are out of the house, I shall investigate where the chimney sweeps still exist. Because I wasn't sure. I thought it was a potential even whatever happened to. But no,
Yeah.
because it's an industry that thrives.
You know, I think it's probably because they've got vans now. When I was a kid, you would literally see them walking around with brushes and ladder on their
Did you?
backs. Yeah. They were peripatetic.
Oh, yeah, they were.
And dirty, really dirty faces.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
but
think
as
that's-
lucky can be.
Apparently.
I've heard.
Well, that's the thing. I think I romanticised what it would be, and then when a man just does a thoroughly professional job, doesn't
And was
make
he
a
clean?
mess.
Was he completely
He was
clean?
absolutely clean. He was really polite, and I was kind of heartbroken. I wanted a sort of sooty-faced urchin to come in and
and
say,
some dancing.
yeah, God blimey, Mister All, your chimney steaks are right, old
You want
steak."
some ankle clicking from a Swede.
So how long does it take, a chimney job?
He did it in 25 minutes.
Wow!
It was absolutely brilliant.
You're right, though. I didn't know they still existed. It's the sort. Did you look in Yellow Pages?
I did the internet
J.R.
equivalent.
Hartley.
of,
My name is Steve Hall.
You must have written a book about fly fishing. Have you? I'd have put money on that.
It's a much smuttier version.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've had a text from 011.
What,
Who's
from Zero? Oh, okay. Out in the left wing.
who's up in Edinburgh, and they said, "I've seen Alan. In fact, I am Alan. I'm enjoying the show, everyone. Looking forward to having to give out a fiver." And I've double checked, I've cross-referenced the numbers, and it is the man himself.
Well, if he's
Really?
enjoying the show, it must not be going that well.
Yeah, but the fact that he spent the 50p,
No, don't start on that.
I say it with love. Al, we love you. There you go.
But I'm glad I've verified that it is Alan. I cross-reference with my own phone.
Yeah.
Now
Because
stop showing off.
My
Steve.
favourite, well, it's just 'cause my favourite story of the week involves mistaken identity. So I wanted to confirm it was Alan.
Oh, yeah.
Because did you hear about the priests in Cardiff?
I've told you not to tell jokes like that
Exactly.
with Frank here. He hates jokes that start like that.
7 priests went into a pub.
They were asked to leave the bar, weren't they?
They were indeed. The City Arms in Cardiff. They come in for a quiet drink.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah, they could be. They came in for
yeah,
a raucous drink.
7
I think
priests
you'll
went into
find
it. I think one of them had been ordained.
I think you'll find it was Father Peter McLaren
Oh, okay.
had been ordained that day.
Ah.
Okay.
And so they were celebrating that.
And these clowns at the City Arms said, sorry, no can do.
Well, so they assumed. Well, they had a no fancy dress policy at the City Arms, so the priests.
Yeah. They
It was ruined. Apparently, one of the priests had some false boobs on, so that made it a bit
I
tricky.
don't think that is true. Take that back.
I rescind my comment.
They felt very bad when they found out, and they got them free drinks. But I liked. I've read a lot about this story because I enjoyed it. There are a number of photographs. One, they had the pint, but then I saw another slightly more off-duty photograph, and there was 2 orange juices and a white wine.
Ah.
I mean, they weren't going to get Jaeger bombs, were they? These chaps.
I thought they'd all had a pint of Guinness. 'Cause
Yeah.
Any 7 men standing behind 7 pints of Guinness would look like priests. It sounds to me like it was a conga waiting to happen.
Yeah.
That would have been if they'd left by conga.
Yeah. A congregation, if they're priests.
Well, no, that is good. That is very good.
In Exmouth Market, which is in sort of East London, getting on for East London, isn't it? I had some Jesuits hailed me a cab once. And I love those Jesuits. It's always
many
made me
were
like
there?
the Jesuit. There were quite a few of them. I think there'd been a similar... Do they get ordained as well? Does that happen across the board?
Yes, it's an order, but they're all the
Okay,
same.
well, they'd had a
priest
similar
thing.
thing. They were celebrating someone being made. And,
made.
yeah, it was lovely.
I don't really go in pubs much now. Do religious types still go in to collect in pubs?
What does that mean?
Well, for example, the Salvation Army used to go in selling the War Cry, their newspaper.
Oh, I see.
Does that still happen?
I can't recall seeing that.
No.
So-
There used to be a guy who was come from the local Catholic hospice, Irish guy, and my mate always called him Irwin, and I always thought his name was Irwin, and he just checked that out. It was an old guy. It turned out he called him Irwin, because Irwin was Rommel's first name. And this old Irish guy, if you put money in his tin, would say many tanks. Many tanks. And because Rommel had many tanks, that's how he got the name.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
man,
fantastic.
what a journey.
Have you ever been mistaken for anyone that you're not?
Well, yes. One of the former controller of BBC One thought I was a waitress. And I was in a dressing room and held... I won't name the sex of the person because it might give it away, but held their hand out for champagne from me. I was wearing a black jumper and a white shirt,
Oh, okay.
in fairness, but it was thrust at me, the hand, in such an imperious manner. And I didn't know quite what to do, really. So I poured it to the top, but then I made a point of going around hugging everyone to make it absolutely clear that this person had made a terrible faux pas. Never worked again,
Do you
dear.
remember an actor called Ronald Fraser?
I do.
He came up to me at the British Comedy Awards and said, "Any news on my car?" And I said, "I'll find out." And I went over to one of the things and I said, "Ronald Fraser is looking for his car." So
That's very nice of you.
I hadn't got the heart to say, "How dare you?"
I don't mind it when they ask me. Dara O'Brien asked me for a coffee once, and I didn't mind. I was producing a TV show. He said, "Can you get us a coffee, love?" I quite liked it.
What about when I was at that driver who spoke to me for ages about what a big fan he was of mine and how funny, and he thought when he first came to this country, my show was the only show he watched, and he thought it was hilarious. And then after all that, he said, "Do you still see the actress who played Betty?" Anyway, look, thank you so much for listening today. I'm off to do a podcast with Josh Widdicombe about 90s football. So listen to that. That's my advice.
Legend.
Thank you very much, Steve, who will be back next week. And keep those texts coming in. We want to keep a track on the
We've had
cockerel.
another sighting of the cockerel, which I might save for next week.
Okay, lovely. So, yes, so bring on the feathers.
You're You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.